Mike, we also work for the undroppables. And what's the symbol for the undroppables?
That X, like do not.
The circle with the slash in it.
Yeah, circle slash.
Don't! This is Do Not Draft Wide Receivers. Producer. On our last episode of Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz detailed 6 players not to draft. This week, they're at it again. Hey! Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. He is Grindberg, I am bigz. You're watching Fantasy Football Advice Network on YouTube, and maybe you're watching this on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, which is our new platform that has launched, and we're in a big push getting ready for the Fantasy Football Advice Expo. Or fantasy, that's what it's going to turn into with our absolute squadron of FFAN people descending on Canton, Ohio on August 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But we're here to talk about wide receivers not to draft. I'm going to kick it off. First wide receiver I'm not drafting. I told you last episode, it's a Philadelphia Eagles theme. I'm not drafting Devonte Smith. He is being drafted currently at wide receiver 23. That means if you want to roster him, he is worth your second wide receiver spot. He's not going to come up with that kind of production in an offense that just added Saquon Barkley, who's going to handle a lot more of the carries. I am looking to add Malik Neighbors, George Pickens, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin. All of those are wide receiver ones. They have a clearer path to dominate targets on their teams, which Devonte Smith doesn't, but he's being drafted before those fellows. Devonte Smith is not going to be on any of my teams this year, unless he's on the waiver wire at some point, because when we say do not draft, it doesn't mean do not own. It just means not at the value that they're at currently. That may change. Second one is Chicago Bears wide receiver DJ Moore. I'm not drafting him. He's being drafted even higher than Devonte Smith. Granted, he is the alpha in the room, but that room includes Keenan Allen, who's a target monster out of the slot, one of the greatest of all time. They just added Rome Odunze, who's going to be doing his thing all over the field. They've got Cole Kmet. They've got Roshan Johnson. They've got DeAndre Swift. And they've got a rookie quarterback trying to figure it all out. What's one thing that we know about rookie quarterbacks? A lot of times their field is cut in half as far as their early season progressions. So they're only looking first look, second look, then do something with it. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be able to support DJ Moore having a top 24 finish this year. I would rather have Trey McBride or Travis Kelce, and you know how I feel about drafting tight ends. I'd rather have Rachaad White, pass-catching running back. I'd rather have Alvin Kamara, pass-catching running back, and all of those guys are at better values than DJ Moore. If I'm taking somebody in the late second round at wide receiver, it's going to be somebody better than DJ Moore. Mike, who are you looking at? Do not draft!
My do not draft, and one of these guys, I just don't think he's worthy of being in my lineup in 2024, and it's clouded with uncertainty despite his impressive draft pedigree, his blazing speed, and I'm talking about a guy that was drafted by my Kansas City Chiefs in the first round, Xavier Worthy. He brings elite athleticism, big play potential to an offense led by Patrick Mahomes. However, the transition to NFL comes with challenges. While Worthy's speed and separation skills are evident from his college career, he faces competition for targets from established veterans like Marquise Brown and Travis Kelce. Additionally, uncertainty surrounding Rashee Rice's potential suspension could initially elevate Worthy's role, but at this point, it's not looking that good for Rashee Rice going for suspension. I think he's going to be playing the full season in 2024. So while Xavier Worthy offers tantalizing upside and speed and playmaking ability, fantasy gamers must temper expectation given the complexities of his situation in Kansas City, the presence of experienced options ahead of him, and the team's cautious handling of rookies suggest a slower integration into this offense. impacting his fantasy production early, and he has sat out a couple days of training camp already due to injury and maybe some malaise, if you will. But him missing those snaps early is not a good sign for him. And I'm going to talk about another Bears wide receiver that I am not in on either in 2024, and that's Keenan Allen. Following his trade to the Bears, despite an exceptional 2023 where he ranked third in points per game and finished as the wide receiver 8 overall, his move to Chicago introduces uncertainty, especially at the age of 31. Allen showcased no signs of slowing down with Justin Herbert, but adjusting to a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams and competing with targets, like you said, with DJ Moore and now incumbent rookie Rome Odunze, could diminish his fantasy production. Ultimately, while Allen's track record and talent are undeniable, just the move to the Bears in 2024 brings a lot of uncertainties, adjusting to that QB and competing for those targets. I am just out on him at his price, especially under a slow-paced offense under Shane Waldron. That could jeopardize his upside despite past successes. Now, Biggs, we want to get into the nitty-gritty here. Our number ones. Schultze, do you want to pipe in on one of those?
Yeah, man. I'm just going to agree with you on Xavier Worthy. I've seen the gas is already pumping pretty hard on him with some training camp clips. And in the Rainbow Bowl draft, he was the first of the 3 Chiefs receiver drafted in my draft. So the steam is coming on Xavier Worthy. And like you said, he's already missing some camp time with hamstring. And for a speedster, that's like the last injury you want to see him pick up. There's red flags there, and I don't think the ceiling is higher than Hollywood. When Hollywood has been here, done that in the league, and then you already mentioned Rashee Rice doesn't have a court date until December, right?
Yeah, just December 9th is what the court date is what it sounds like. And
Right.
that's not even considered like the first trial thing. So I can't see that happening until, his suspension until next year. So you bring in a guy like
Agreed.
Rashee Rice. Now those targets are going to come down for sure for Worthy.
Yeah, I'm drafting Worthy last of the 3 Chiefs receivers this year.
Me too.
So
okay,
bye. I do want to chime in with a little bit of context as far as Keenan Allen and what happens with a rookie quarterback. In 2019, Keenan Allen was wide receiver 6. That was his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 set. That was his 7th season in the NFL. He was wide receiver 6. That was with Phillip Rivers at quarterback. The next season, 2020, was Justin Herbert's rookie season. Justin Herbert finished that season at like quarterback 9 as a rookie. That's high level production. Keenan Allen dropped down to wide receiver 14. So he went from top 6 to top 15. That was just because of the difference between Phillip Rivers and Justin Herbert. All right. I'm going to get to my spotlight. But unfortunately, producer doesn't have control of my PC. My similar to Rashee Rice's situation, Jordan Addison is in trouble. DUI shortly after the death of their 4th round pick cornerback out of Oregon, Kyrie Jackson. Jordan Addison isn't in the good graces of Vikings brass at this point. I talked about this on my show yesterday. The biggest difference between Rice and Addison is that you haven't heard anything really come out of Chiefs camp denigrating Rashee Rice. They're still all like full speed ahead with Rice. Addison, you've heard the Vikings come out and say, we are severely disappointed in this guy. There's a possibility Rashee Rice plays the entire 2024 season because the NFL won't suspend him until after court stuff is resolved. Same with Jordan Addison. But if the team is going to issue a suspension, it's more likely the Vikings are going to do it to Addison than the Chiefs are going to do it to Rashee Rice. So I'm not drafting Jordan Addison. In the same round that Addison is going, that's one of my QB rounds in redraft leagues. There are some other people available there, including Brock Bowers. who, you know, has some upside. He's going to play as a wide receiver, but with tight end designation. And Curtis Samuel, who's about to go break out in his 8th season and lead the Buffalo Bills in targets, something that we've talked about on the show before. So do not draft Jordan Addison. Draft Curtis Samuel or Brock Bowers instead, or get your QB then.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'm totally out on Jordan Addison, and another guy that's been, you know, shaking up the headlines in this offseason is another wide receiver that many of us are out on, and that's Brandon Aiyuk. And his outlook looks risky in 2024, making him a do not draft candidate for me. His situation.
Did you hear what he did at camp? He talked to the GM on the field and then left.
I know they went. They left. It's insane. There's a lot of speculation
Left
here.
to a nice seafood dinner.
Oh yeah, well that's on the coast. You know where that's probably taking crabs right out of the water, right, bigz?
Oh yeah, Dungies for days.
Dungies for days. Well, anyways, Brandon Aiyuk's desire for more money to be paid like a top wide receiver in the NFL. He wants around $30 million. He's showing his dissatisfaction, and it's, you know, been a strong dissatisfaction since, you know, the beginning of, this offseason. He's been ranked as the wide receiver 13 by ADP. Aiyuk might seem tempting based on his potential with the 49ers, but his fantasy value depends heavily on swiftly resolving his contract issues and staying focused amidst the distractions surrounding his future. The looming possibility of a trade to teams like the Steelers or Commanders or Patriots, Chargers or Bills adds further uncertainty, potentially disrupting his season and fantasy production. Fantasy gamers should approach Aiyuk with caution due to his volatile nature of his situation. While the 49ers have expressed commitment to him as a key player, everything could change quickly with a compelling trade offer. The risk of Aiyuk feeling unsettled, whether with the 49ers or with the new team, threatens his consistency and reliability for the lineups in 2024. So his tumultuous offseason, his uncertain future make him a risky choice for me in fantasy drafts, and that's why I am looking away from Brandon Aiyuk in 2024. Yeah, tough situation there.
There's a lot of tumult, isn't there?
Tumult.
Yeah, so the Brandon Aiyuk situation is a funny one because the dude is really good. It just the 49ers offense doesn't necessarily suit an alpha. It doesn't necessarily suit like a single player who's going to dominate. So keep your ear to the ground. If he gets traded and he gets traded to somewhere where he's going to completely take over, then smash. I mean, he definitely would be a trade target, which we're going to talk about in upcoming episodes, because we haven't really been discussing redraft trades to this point, but it's about time that we start. So yeah, I mean, I'm hesitant with Aiyuk, although given the right value, I still would probably be drafting him in higher rounds. He would still be a part, whether he stays with the 49ers or goes somewhere else, he still would be a part of my overall portfolio, if you will, my roster build. But for now, I'm looking elsewhere at somebody who's in a more stable situation. So good call, Grindberg.
Man, well, that's it for us today, right?
Yeah. Thank you for watching the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. Follow us on Twitter. If you want to know where, go watch our last episode where we told you. We hope you win.
Hope you win.